Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmaduel.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today, we're going to go over a quick one-turn kill deck that has left me a little salty when going up against it, and my opponent just gets the perfect hand and the perfect set of cards that they need, and it's rather consistent, kind of a high risk, high reward. If it doesn't necessarily work out, you're not in the best situation, but when it does, oh man, it goes so well. So this is the Ice Barrier one-turn kill deck. What I want to do is just go over just a basic structure setup of the card. The skill that you absolutely need to use for this deck is balance, because you'll see why in a second. It has a lot to do with the spell card aspect of it and just working out the probabilities to make sure that you more often than not get the cards that you need. Now this is a great deck if you're going to be going second and your opponent has a monster out on the field already. You're able to take full advantage of it. But first, let's get into some of the monsters. The first one, you got 2 copies of General Gantala of the Ice Barrier. It's a level 7 warrior, 2700 attack, 2000 defense. Once per turn during your end phase, you can select one Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard except General Gantala of the Ice Barrier and special summon it. So it's just a really good card on its own. I like how it's able to have a special summon based out of the graveyard, so you're able to take advantage of that. Just an excellent card. That is the super rare. You'll only be able to get 2 copies of that within the Electric Overload box set. So take, like I said, just try your best to see how many copies of that one you could get. That is one that is high on my list of cards that I would want for this deck. Next, 2 copies of Daisojo, Daisojo of the Ice Barrier, level 6 spellcaster, 1600 attack, 2200 defense. When this card is normal or flip summoned, it is changed to defense position. While this card is face up on the field, face-up Ice Barrier monsters you control cannot be destroyed by effects of spell or trap cards. This is a really powerful support effect, having this card normal or flip summon onto the field. If you're able to tribute summon to get it on there, because your opponent's going to be running a lot of cards like Super Headlong Rush or Machizer or anything along those lines that are going to try and target and destroy your monsters. So if you play your cards right and Daisojo of the Ice Barrier is available for summon, my goodness, you're going to do a good job protecting your monsters. So anyway, moving on. Next is Strategist of the Ice Barrier, level 4 spellcaster. Once per turn, you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card. 1600 attack, 1600 defense. I like this card a lot because it gives you a little extra draw power, and that is never a bad thing. Next, you have Samurai of the Ice Barrier. It's another level 4 warrior, 1800 attack, 1500 defense. When this face-up attack position card is changed to face-up defense position, destroy this card, and if you do, draw 1 card. So at least built into this with its effect is its own potential for additional draw power. There's nothing wrong with that, and especially if you're in a situation where you feel like you'd be better suited to try and get through your cards and try and draw more. Taking advantage of Samurai of the Ice Barrier is a good option. But with an 1800 attack for a level 4 monster, it's just really strong, so you can't go wrong. Then we have a General Grunard of the Ice Barrier. It is a level 8 warrior, 2800 attack, 1000 defense. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Ice Barrier monster in addition to your normal summon or set. This effect can only be used once per turn. So it's a really good card. I know it requires two monsters to tribute summon, but still, overall, this card is just really good. Just and it's not even a rare or a super rare. It's just a common. So this one should be pretty easy to get. And same thing with the next card. You got Blizz, Defender of the Ice Barrier. It's a level 1 Aqua, 300 attack, 500 defense. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. So you see the theme here between Blizz and between Samurai of the Ice Barrier and between Strategist of the Ice Barrier. You're able to really try and get through your deck a lot quicker because they have all this draw power involved. So anyway, you'll see how this could come into play depending on how good or how bad your opening hand ends up. Because in this deck that at least I'm looking at on the deck board, it runs 2 copies of Moray of Greed. What it is you shuffle 2 water monsters from your hand into your deck and then draw 3 cards. Seeing as every Ice Barrier card is a water type, this card runs perfect. And especially with balance, you know you're going to be getting a majority of your cards as the Ice Barrier monsters. So you're going to have at least 2 water monsters in your hand. So if you end up drawing Moray of Greed in your opening hand, you're still able to get some more draw power going, and you're going to be able to get a few more cards out of it. So, because again, the end game is to try and set up this final spell card here, and it's actually a common card in the Electric Overload box set. It's Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier. So what it is you reveal 3 Ice Barrier monsters with different names in your hand to select one card your opponent controls and destroy the opponent's card, and special summon 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand. So this really sets you up for a 1-turn kill. Say, for example, you're going second. Your opponent sets a card and passes turn. Well, what you're able to do is, because you've drawn balance, more likely than not, you're going to end up with all different kinds of Ice Barrier monsters in your hand. You're not really going to see any doubles. And then you're going to use your Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier, hopefully if you draw that one, because that's why this deck runs 5 spell cards. The probability works in a way where you're going to end up drawing 1 spell card into your hand when you use balance. So what that really does for you is it sets you up with at least three different Ice Barrier monsters, plus this Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier, and possibly 1 more, especially if you're going second. So you're going to get 1 more Ice Barrier monster that way. So then you activate the card, you show your 3 monsters, you destroy that set monster on your opponent's side of the field. Hopefully you have a card like General Gantala of the Ice Barrier. Then you could special summon that monster onto the field, and then special summon any of your other monsters, even, for example, Strategist of the Ice Barrier or Samurai of the Ice Barrier. So you drop those 2 monsters on the field. Boom, you could attack for 4,000 points, and as long as your opponent doesn't have any, Windstorm of Etiquette or anything along those lines to try and stall you out. But either way, you're basically +2 on this, because you're destroying your opponent's monster, and then you end up with 2 monsters yourself on your side of the field at least, let alone if you have any other combos up your sleeve. So, but with balance and with this card setup, you do set yourself up for, more often than not, ending up with this Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier combo play. And when it works quick, and you end up OTKing your opponent very, very quickly. But that's why you also got to run Moray of Greed in case you end up in a situation where you don't get the Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier. So the other card that you would get from your spells and traps would be this Moray of Greed card. So at least what it does is it allows you to draw 3 more cards, and hopefully you get exactly what you're looking for. If not, it could kind of bust, and you may not end up in the best situation. You could end up losing a duel rather quickly. But as far as consistency goes, using balance as your skill really boosts the consistency of this deck and boosts the consistency of this combo. And even if you go first and you have Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier and 3 different Ice Barriers, you don't necessarily have to destroy any of your opponent's monsters. You could still activate the play and maybe destroy their face-up field spell card if they're starting the game with something like that. Like if you're going up against Power of the Dark or even the Mythic Depths, anything along those lines, you can destroy those cards on your first turn and still set yourself up with 2 Ice Barrier summons and still keep yourself in a good position. But it just depends on what your playstyle is. I've seen people defer turns, knowing that they have the pieces that they need, so the next turn around they can destroy their opponent's monsters, but it really just depends. So this is overall just a really good deck. It is very budget friendly, considering that a lot of the cards are rares and commons. Of course, you have the 1 super rare in General Gantala of the Ice Barrier. Now keep in mind there is another Ice Barrier card floating around with the My Valentine event. You're able to pick that up as well. It could be a good addition to this deck also. So, but anyway, as far as budget decks are concerned, this one is very competitive. I've seen quite a few in Platinum and Legend rank, so they're getting pretty far. So this is something that you could use to really climb the ranks if you're planning on trying to climb the ranks in ranked PvP. But yeah, this is just a really interesting deck overall. So if you've built a deck similar to this, or if you've had good or bad experiences with Ice Barriers, I'd love to hear your opinions. Reach out to me on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.